In 2009, Camden was considered the deadliest and the poorest city in America. But just over 100 years ago, this city was an economic powerhouse, with three of the largest companies in the world having its factories and headquarters here. So what went so wrong, and how did it get so bad? Decided to do a little deep dive and figure these things out. South Jersey was originally inhabited by the Lenape people, a group of Native Americans who were peace-loving, semi-nomadic people who lived in small family groups along the banks of waterways. On September 19, 1718, a ship sailing from Dublin, Ireland, landed in West Collingswood, New Jersey, at the fork of Newtown Creek and Cooper's Creek. Most of the early settlers were Quakers. They came over because they were lorded by the Concessions and Agreements Act, a document written by William Penn, who owned a large portion of the land in South Jersey. The settlement offered the promise of religious freedom, equitable taxation, and a representative government. This area became a center of activity during the Revolutionary War while the British occupied Philadelphia. Because Quakers opposed war and most would not bear arms for either side, many of them were harassed and imprisoned. The city's growth really didn't start until 1834, when they built the Camden-Amboy Railroad line. And then a little later on, during the Civil War, many of the residents fought for the Union. After the war is when Camden's population really started to explode and turned into an industrial powerhouse. In 1869, Joseph Campbell and Abraham Anderson founded a preserving company that would eventually become known as the Campbell Soup Company. Although the company relocated its processing facilities years ago, the corporate headquarters are still located in the city. The Victor Talk and Machine Company was incorporated in 1901, and it was established in Camden. It was the largest and most prestigious firm of its kind. They produced phonograms, listened to music at their houses whenever they wanted. New and amazing technology at the time. Later on, they changed their name to RCA Victor, and they continued to produce records and phonograms until the 60s, and the company finally went out of business in 1976. The New York Shipbuilding Corporation established themselves in Camden before World War I. They were instrumental in building ships for our Navy. Popular saying back then was, "On Camden supplies, the world relies." And then during the 1900s, when the Great Flight Migration started to happen, a huge amount of African Americans moved north to escape the Jim Crow South for better opportunities and to be treated like humans. Also, immigrant labor seek economic opportunities also increased the population. Some of the larger industries that sprung up were cigars, sausage making, patent drugs, leather goods, iron products, ships, linoleum, horse carriage bodies, and terracotta were just a few of the hundreds of products manufactured right in Camden. The first bridge was built in 1926 to connect Philadelphia to Camden. It was originally called the Delaware River Bridge, but it was later named after Benjamin Franklin. Later on, the Walt Whitman and Betsy Ross Bridge were also built. These routes, along with the development of high-speed rails between Camden, Philadelphia, and New York, helped push the county's population over 500,000 people, which peaked in the 1950s. So where did it all go wrong? A lot of the industries that were in Camden 100 years ago are old technology now, like the phonograms, for instance. After World War II, we stopped producing so many warships and we switched over to the Cold War spying type stuff. And Camden was too close to Philadelphia for them to produce the nuclear submarines there. So mismanagement and loss of contracts is what unfounded rumors started to spread that a young black girl was savagely beaten by a white cop when affluent white people started leaving urban areas for the suburbs. This was exacerbated in Camden when the Cherry Hill Mall was during the 1960s as manufacturing jobs left the city, unemployment numbers, and crime. There was two big incidents involving Camden Police Department that really started the mistrust between its residents and the police. In 1969, the day after Labor Day, unfounded rumors started to spread that a young black girl was savagely beaten by a white cop. Stuff jumped off anyway. At dusk, a large group of two people were eventually killed, including Officer Ranley Chandler and 15-year-old Rose McDonald. These riots went on for 2 days, and after all was said, the police blamed an unnamed, unknown sniper. Then on July 30th, 1971, Rafael Gonzalez, and after Mayor Nady declined to discipline the two cops, would not relent on him, and they kept up pressure. The city was on edge for the next couple weeks. Then on August 20th, 1971, shit really hit the fan. There was huge riots, 15 huge fires, and then the cops were eventually acquitted by a jury. Another big reason for Camden's downfall is political corruption. Scandal after scandal. One of the first ones was Angelo Aronchetti. In 1981, he was federally charged with bribery related to a federally subsidized sewer project where he was alleged to receive $10,000 in cash to steer project. He was convicted and sentenced to 6 years in prison, but he wound up only serving 32 months. Arnold Webster was the mayor from 1993 to 1997. And he was the second mayor to be charged with corruption. Pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges in 1998. And then we have Mr. Milton Milan, the absolute craziest case of corruption within the mayor's office. It's a wild story. During his first term as mayor, he was indicted on a 19-count corruption case, 14 of which he was convicted of. Some of those counts including laundering drug money. He staged a break-in at one of his businesses to collect the insurance money, caught collecting over $50,000 in bribes from the Italian mafia. He used taxpayers' money for lavish vacations in Puerto Rico, received free vehicles and free work on his house from companies. Eventually, he was sentenced to the maximum under federal guidelines to 7 years in federal prison and $14,000 in restitution. Another huge source of corruption in Camden is within the Camden Police Department itself, which was disbanded in 2013. 2010, an ongoing federal probe alleged that Camden police officer Kevin Perry and 4 others planted drugs during illegal searches. They pocketed the money and drugs and framed the suspects. Kevin Perry eventually pleaded guilty and admitted in court to the role that got 185 cases thrown out and almost $4 million paid to the defendants. After the original one was disbanded in 2013, they came up with the Camden County Police Department. Their policy is unity policing. Unity policing is CCPD's very own new style of policing built on principles of de-escalation, wellness, leadership, transparency, empathy, guided by the idea that collective community must act as a unified force to prevent crime, promote safety, and improve society. And it does seem to be working. Crime has gone down over these last 10 years. Everyone I talked to in this city has said they have seen improvements recently. I wanted to bring you down to what I think is the most beautiful part of Camden. I love coming down here. They spent a lot of money and a lot of time revitalizing this area. You could see the Ben Franklin Bridge behind me. And then there's the skyline of Philly right back there. But I'm going to show you now. I just wanted to come down and show you the good part of Camden. It is amazingly beautiful down here, especially at night with the skyline behind you. I mean, I can't get enough. Now down here is where Campbell's Soup used to have their factory. They were established in 1890, I think, or 1891, somewhere around there, as a preservation company, food preservation. And they became one of the biggest companies in the world. And this is what it looks like when you're looking at this side from Philly. But if you could see, it goes all around here. All that up there is all like a park to walk around in and enjoy this view. Now this red building here is the only original Campbell's building left in the city. From the research I've done, I could be wrong because I'm an idiot, but from what I found out, this is the only original Campbell's building to exist. Here's the back end side of the RCA Phonogram's old buildings. These three here. You can see that one is the one that's abandoned still straight ahead. During the Black Lives Matter movement and the protests that happened for and against it and all the craziness that happened during that, they had to cover up a mural here in Camden at the old Cooper Branch Library. It is now a part of Camden's campus. I'm sorry, Rutgers campus in Camden. My God, I can't talk. But here's what where it was, and you can see where it's covered up. And let's hope they uncover it so everyone can see. Now you could see those. You can see that white thing up there, and apparently it showed something to do with Christopher Columbus and his voyage to America. And I don't know if there's another bigger hot button issue that went on during those times, and especially something as stupid as Christopher Columbus. Italian people went crazy over it. And turns out this entire time he was an Ashkenazi Jew from eastern Spain. So it's just funny how things like that work out. But hopefully they uncover it. It's right back there. I would like to see it. I don't like when they remove statues or cover up artwork. It's just something I'm not with, even if I don't agree with this stuff. This is the next building on the tour I wanted to show you guys. This is the Federal Courthouse in Camden. Now the reason this is important for this video is a lot of the mayors over the last 50 years end up in here because of their corruption. This is an old historic church here in Camden. It's the Tabernacle Faith Church. Cool looking building. Probably one of the most iconic buildings in Camden is the City Hall building, the Melvin Primus Jr. City Hall building. It was built in 1928, right before the Great Depression started. Funny enough, well, not funny, but Camden was one of the few cities that it had so much manufacturing here. It was actually able to almost keep thriving during the Great Depression. I mean, sure, there was a lot of problems. A lot of people lost their jobs. Here in Camden, a lot of the companies switched to a script type payment where you could still work there, but then you had to buy all your goods and stuff off the company. You know, kind of like modern, I don't want to say slavery because it's definitely not that, but it was a way for those big companies to retain their workers, and because the workers needed to eat and stuff, you know. But here's the front of the building here. It's a big building though, huh? I believe it is the tallest building in Camden. Got a cool little lunch spot. You could see this is all downtown. Is all. Can you see the signs? They're all Rutgers everywhere. Here's the front part of it. See, there's the transportation center that way. Here's the Walter Rand Transportation Center right there. Always got the Camden police guy here too, out front always. Alright, I showed you guys a lot of the a couple of nicer parts of Camden, downtown and stuff. Now I'm gonna go down into the shadier parts, down Broadway. Show you guys what's going on down there. It's a completely different world. This is the Walter Rand Transportation Center. You can see it turns. This is still the nicer area down Broadway. A lot of abandoned stuff and cool abandoned. I don't know what's going on right here. Atlantic here. I was told to go down 7th Street, wherever that is. We'll find it though. Okay guys, that's gonna conclude my first little mini documentary about Camden. Hopefully it wasn't too boring, and hopefully you guys learned something from it. Alright guys, have a nice day.